Today, we'll be talking about the Gilded Age. The Gilded Age, from the front, everyone thought it was a prosperous time in America. Industry was booming.
How's business? Business is booming.
Exports, imports were increasing, but when you open up the inside of America, you see the real problem of the Gilded Age. The poor are more poor than ever. The rich are just getting richer, being exploited. The poor being exploited by the rich. The growing industry, the uncontrolled nature of these industries, and the main people to blame were the four robber barons. First, Rockefeller. He made his money through oil. Then came Vanderbilt, who made his money through trains, and then monopolizing on the train system. Then came Carnegie, who was in charge of the steel business. And then came JP Morgan, who owned all of the banks.
Okay, so I'm sure you're wondering, what the hell is a robber baron? So basically, a robber baron is a term used to describe late 19th century American businessmen who were known for using rather shady tactics to acquire power, such as assassinating people,
This is America.
or sabotaging competition, or forming monopolies and trusts. This was pretty bad for average Joe like us.
John D. Rockefeller was a robber baron in the Gilded Age. The Gilded Age was very important to U.S. history. John D. Rockefeller was born in Richford, New York, July 8, 1839, and died May 23, 1937. He was an American industrialist and philanthropist who founded the Standard Oil Company, and he had the first trust in U.S. history. He built the first oil refinery near Cleveland in 1863. He acquired pipelines and terminal facilities, and also purchased oil competing refineries in other cities. He also negotiated with the railroad company to get favored rates for transporting oil. In 1881, he formed the first trust. This trust led to a monopoly, which is the control of the one entity that supplies a certain commodity. Even though he had many shady deals and took advantage of his workers, he also was a philanthropist in his final years. He retired in the 1890s and donated over $500 million to educational, religious, and scientific causes.
One of the robber barons was J.P. Morgan. Born as John Pierpont Morgan in May 17, 1837 in Hartford, Connecticut. Morgan financed railroads in the late 19th century, when railroad industry experienced overexpansion. By doing so, he gained a significant portion of the railroad stocks and eventually controlled an estimated 17% of U.S. railroads. J.P. Morgan eventually followed in his wealthy father's step into the banking business. He formed J.P. Morgan and Company, giving birth to modern-day financial giant J.P. Morgan Chase. He was also a philanthropist. During the economic crisis of 1898, Morgan loaned the federal government more than $60 million. However, the muckrakers claimed that J.P. Morgan had too much power and could manipulate the financial system for his own gain.
Today we'll be discussing Cornelius Vanderbilt, who was born on May 27, 1794 in good old Staten Island, New York. His parents were both farmers. In 1817, Vanderbilt would work as a ferry captain,
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
allowing him to learn about the steamboat industry, leading to him starting a business of his own. Vanderbilt was known for being very aggressive with his competition, which led to him dominating his industry. Eventually transitioned into the railroad industry, where he became most famous for developing a coherent railroad system with steel rails and the standard gauge, increasing efficiency while reducing costs.
Another one of the robber barons is Andrew Carnegie. At a young age, Carnegie worked in the railroad and earned only $1.20 a week. With the money that he made, he started investing. Because of his wise choices and investments, especially in oil, at a young age, Carnegie left the railroad in 1865 to focus on his business interests. In the next decade, Carnegie focused on the steel industry, and his corporation became the largest of its kind in the world. He had achieved vertical integration, which, if you do not know, is owning all businesses in order to make your own product, which in Carnegie's case was steel. Since Carnegie bought all the companies that are needed for him to make steel, he became an incredibly wealthy man with an enormous monopoly. Although he was a robber baron, Carnegie was unique for his philanthropy, just like John D. Rockefeller. Andrew Carnegie is mostly known for his book, The Gospel of Wealth. This book talked about the responsibility of the rich or upperclassmen to give back to the community. Therefore, after making all of this money, Carnegie decided that he would give back to the community. To demonstrate the amount that he gave away, he sold his steel industry in 1901 to J.P. Morgan for about $480 million, and then gave over $350 million of that away. That is over 70% of what he received from selling the steel industry. Later on, Carnegie died in 1919 of bronchial pneumonia. We can assume that he lived a good life because he found joy in helping the poor and the community, which indeed he had done.
Unless, wait for it, you are the Mongols.
The script was written by me, Chang, Mina, and Ramesh. The video was produced by good old Chang. Our cameraman's also Chang. And shout out to our top Patreon doing there, Dennis Park, doing it in $5.99. We love you for that. Alright, good movie for Alright, good looks. Alright, bye.
What?
Johnny Rockefeller was, oh my god, give me Yo, leave. Johnny Rockefeller was, oh my god, no. Pony and Ahmad, get out. I know the thing's recording right now, okay? Okay, get out. Johnny Rockefeller was a robber baron in the Gilded Age. The Gilded Age was very important to oh my god, no! Johnny Rockefeller was a robber baron in the Gilded Age. Oh, yo, I was doing good. Yo.
Alright, got my stuff carry on.